Great, so we're back, and we just discussed and told you, well, I told you, right, how much time you need to talk. So you only allowed 30% of the time, right? So I guess the problem is now, what do you say? Okay, if I know I only need to talk 30%, and I know my prospect needs to talk 70%, what the hell am I going to say that's going to fit into 30% of the time? That's the problem. So here we're now going to give you a script, okay? And we're going to give you a very broad script that you can use any way you want, but there's certain requirements that this script should have, okay? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you only talk for no more than 30% of the time. So therefore, what we want you to do is you need to actually, if you're talking 30% of the time and you have, for example, say 2 minutes on the phone, if you want to share 2 minutes or share a minute, you should be talking for about 20 seconds. All right? If you're sharing 1 minute, you're talking 20 seconds. And so what you need to do is exactly start with an upfront contract. And that's what we call this script. It's called an upfront contract. And we're going to talk about why it's a contract. All right? So what is a contract? All right? A contract has 5 major parts to it. Okay? First of all, it has consideration. Right? All contracts, whether or not it's your contract to buy a house, which is your mortgage, whether it's a contract to accept a job offer, these things all have consideration. And consideration is a big legal word for exchange. Like somebody gives something and somebody gets something. That's called consideration. So all parties must be doing that. All right? Secondly, it must have an objective. All contracts must be, we are trying to get something done in a certain period of time between certain parties. That's an objective. Objective must always be clear. Third of all, all right, we're on number 3. Contract must have agreement. What is an agreement? An agreement is an actual agreement or expression of yes between all parties. Yes, yes, yes. Contracts are not valid if everybody doesn't say yeah. So you got to have agreement. Okay. Next. Fourth, competency. You should only be doing the contract script with the person who is competent to give you the information you need. So if you're calling to the CEO of a company, they're competent. If you're calling and you're talking to the CEO's assistant, I don't know if they're competent. Maybe you might know, but you got to check that. Gatekeepers or people who filter your CEOs are not folks that you're going to want to spend most of your upfront contracts with because they may not have competency. They could say yes, but they may not be competent to say that, right? Because competent means, yes, I'm in a position to actually give you what you need. Remember? Consideration. And then lastly, lawful object. Okay? All contracts have to do with a lawful object, a reason for being. Why are we here? Something that we're going to be talking about. That is required. So those are the 5 parts to the upfront contract. Right? So I'm going to tell you now what your upfront contract might sound like if you're talking on the phone, on a cold call. Okay? All right. We're going to give that example. I'm just going to walk through a little one.